What's going on, everyone? It is Durgy Spade, aka Magic MC. That's because I'm a professional magician and a professional wedding MC. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at different tips that you can take into account when you're planning your wedding that is Halloween or maybe even fall themed. We're gonna check out those tips right after this. What's going on? Welcome to the channel. If we've never met before, I want to give you a free gift right off the bat for checking out this video. If you're interested in grabbing a free ebook that teaches you mistakes to avoid for your big day, you can grab that free ebook over at weddingchecklistnow.com. Now in this series, Wedding Checklist Now, we give you tips, tricks, and even wedding checklists for you to use while you're planning your big day. And again, in this video, we're gonna be talking about all the different creative ways you can plan your Halloween themed wedding. The first thing we wanna consider is a venue itself. Now, if you haven't started planning yet, this is the first thing you're gonna wanna do, Halloween related or not. Book your venue, because only once you've got a venue booked, you've got a date in the calendar, that's when you can start booking all the other things around that date. But when you're planning to book your venue, you might want to consider places that are Halloween-esque. I'm not sure if that's a word, but something that's going to cater to your fall wedding, something that's going to fit in nicely with the season. A great example of this where I am in Toronto is this really old castle called the Casa Loma. It's very big, very famous, and the problem is you have to book like 3 years in advance to get a wedding booked there, but it is a phenomenal castle, and if you're able to pull something off there, it's gonna be something that your guests are going to remember forever. In fact, at this castle in Toronto, every October, they even decorate it with Halloween themes, and you can even buy a ticket and go check it out. But imagine having a wedding there during that time. It would be absolutely crazy. Now, if you don't live in Toronto, don't worry. There's still other creative ways you can do this. Maybe you may want to have a barn wedding where it's still easy to make a nice Halloween theme. You may want to have nice decor, Halloween decor. Maybe that's haystacks and cauldrons and just Halloween-like decorations, and we'll get to all of that in a moment. But again, the first thing you want to consider is the actual venue if your focus is to have a Halloween-esque wedding. The second thing we want to consider is your attire, your wedding attire. This is for both brides and grooms. Maybe you want to make it a little bit dark. I don't know. A black wedding dress. I've never seen it done, but I think this is the perfect time to have one. And if that's a little bit too much, maybe just a little bit darker makeup for the ladies, even for the guys, you know, instead of having a traditional white shirt underneath your tuxedo, maybe you want to go with something black or something just a little bit darker. Other colors you might want to play around with, of course, is a nice burnt orange. And if, again, I totally get it if you don't want to wear an orange shirt or an orange dress, but you could still use those colors to accent different areas of your attire or even your wedding reception. So maybe that means for the guys, orange socks, maybe for the ladies, a little bit of orange makeup or orange earrings, I don't know. But again, just throwing in a little bit of burnt orange to fit in with the season. All right, the third thing we're gonna talk about are the decorations. Now, decorations can mean many things, right? This could mean, of course, if you're having a farm wedding as an example, a barn wedding, you might wanna consider, like I was saying earlier, maybe you wanna throw some pumpkins around. They don't necessarily have to be full cutout jack-o'-lanterns, but just to make it feel a little bit more like fall. I suppose you could have a couple of black cats running around, but that might be just a little bit too much with the cats, you know, all over the place. So maybe scratch that tip. Since we're talking about decor, don't forget any backdrops you might want to consider as well. So this could be a backdrop right behind where the couple is sitting. So this could again be some nice orange flowers or just a little bit of a darker backdrop that you might see in the middle of June, for example. Other backdrops you might want to consider is behind the photo booth. So maybe you have a photo booth of some sort, or even if you don't have a photo booth, just a backdrop where when your guests come in, they can stand in in front of the backdrop to get some nice photos. And again, this could be a little bit darker, a little bit more fall-like, and that might be through the colors or what's displayed on the backdrop, like some beautiful orange leaves. Next tip we're gonna talk about are the drinks. So maybe you're gonna have some specialty drinks created and served on the night of your reception. You might wanna consider the seasonal flavors that we are used to every fall. So that could mean apple, cinnamon, maple. Feel free to use those in your drinks as appropriate, along with typical alcohol that we often see this time of year. Maybe bourbon, maybe a little bit of scotch, apple, brandy. Whatever you love this time of year, I'm willing to bet your guests will love as well. Tip number 5 actually ties back into the decor. We're talking about candles. Now, candles is something that we see all the time at weddings, right? They might be part of the table decor, maybe the centerpieces, they might be at the head table, they might be decor on the table for the couple themselves. Now, if you're considering a Halloween-esque wedding, which is why you're watching this video in the first place, consider if maybe some dark or black candles. The 6th thing we're going to talk about is the cake. Now, again, let's think about the flavors of the season. I know as soon as September, October hits, my local Starbucks is serving pumpkin spice lattes, and pumpkin spice is, of course, the flavor of the season. So maybe instead of having a typical vanilla or a chocolate cake, you might want to look into a fun flavored cake like pumpkin spice, if that's something that's available to you, if that's something that you might like. Tip 7, think about the costumes. If you want to really kick your wedding up a notch, do you want to consider costumes? You might want to make it an all-out costume party where your guests are free to wear whatever costumes they like. I assure you, this is a wedding your guests will never ever forget. Now, if that's a little bit too much, if that's something that you just don't want, or you can't imagine on your wedding night it being a full-out costume party, maybe you could still incorporate costumes in a few different ways. Let me give you some ideas. Maybe you have a ring bearer or a flower girl walking down the aisle as appropriate in a fun little costume, and that way they get to do something fun without forcing or encouraging all the guests to do it. Another idea is maybe halfway through the reception, the couple actually leaves for a few minutes and changes into a fun costume and comes back, and all of a sudden the night has another jolt of energy with these new costumes that have just been introduced. All right, tip number 8, let's think about the entertainment. Since this is a Halloween themed wedding, you might want to consider getting someone like a tarot card reader. Now, this is perfect during the cocktail hour. You can have someone kind of sitting around and doing some card readings for your guests. Talk about fun. Imagine pulling up with a nice fancy apple cider drink in the middle of October and finding a tarot card reader. Oh my God, so much fun. I know your guests will love it. Other entertainment you might want to consider to keep the theme is maybe a magician. You don't have to get me, there's a ton of magicians out there in the world, but magic is perfect in the month of October. Again, tying in that magic with the Halloween theme. Well, there you have it, folks. There are some great tips for you to consider if you indeed are planning a wedding around Halloween. By the way, if you end up doing this, please send me your photos or tag me in your photos on Instagram on Magic MC Live. I would absolutely love to see how you pull this off. Look, I've hosted hundreds of weddings over the years, and I'm always looking to see how people have pulled off unique weddings. So again, if that's you and you pulled off some sort of unique wedding, send me the pictures or tag me in the post so I can see, and of course, I'll publish them out into the world. Thank you guys so much for watching. By the way, if you're new here and you want to keep getting some more wedding tips, we try to release new wedding related videos every single week. So come back next week and check here for some more great wedding tips. By the way, don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button so you can be notified exactly when these videos come out, because we've already released a whole bunch of them and we've got a lot more planned. We'll see you in the next one.